Thanks for being on the show, man. I think I've known you for a few years now. And, you're one of the guys, just to tell everybody the background of how I met Al. I had a speech that I gave at All Access for Rocket. And one person that I met with, his name was Danny, who owns West Capital. And I made a consulting agreement with him to come speak in front of his vice presidents. Al at the time was a vice president at West Capital Lending. I got on there and I spoke in front of the group, bunch of VPs, gave them, my consulting package, the way it works, the way I motivate teams, how I build a culture. And after that meeting, the first person to hit me up was Al. And it's not like Al was struggling at the time or he wasn't making money. Al was successful before I met Al, right? But he wanted to go to that next level and he wanted a coach to push him there. So me and him started working together. Within 30 to 60 days, the guy took over the #1 team in California at West Capital. And he's been doing amazing things ever since. We worked together for almost 1 year. We built a friendship. He came down, visited me in Detroit. I went down to Cali. So it's been amazing, staying connected to him. He's a very good dude. And I think, out of the people in my academy and in my circle, you're definitely, man, top 3 brokers in my network. And my network's pretty much the top brokers in America. So thanks for being here, man. And I wanted to bring you out because on this call right now, we got a bunch of brokers all across the country and some other salespeople in different industries. But, I believe sales applies to everything. So I wanted to just pick your brain live here. We didn't prep this call. We didn't set anything up. But, I'm going to just go in on Al and see what he's able to tell us and let us know about his business today. And I'll tell you one thing about him is he's not one to sugarcoat or hide anything. He's very upfront, real, and he definitely shares the wealth. So thank you for being on here, my brother.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. So other than me and you meeting, man, I know we talked about this a little before. What did you do before mortgaging? What were you doing before you got into the broker world?
Honestly, man, I was selling supplements. I worked at I always had jobs since I was 14. But I started off doing the Pepsi lemonade. I was called a hawker, working at Angel Stadium, throwing the peanuts, selling the lemonade, selling the ice cream. I was just hustling there, got my UPS job. Then I worked at Max Muscle, was selling supplements. And then I got my break, in the mortgage business. Just had a random interview. They liked me in the interview. I was the last pick in the class, and the rest was history.
Where'd you start mortgages at?
So I started mortgages at this company called First Franklin that was later bought out by Merrill Lynch. This was back in 2006. So I had to have been, 22 maybe? It was, I'll just give you a quick background, but when I started, I was working at home, or I was living at home. I was working at Max Muscle, and I told my mom, I said, hey, I got this job. It pays minimum wage because at the time the gig paid minimum wage plus commission. And she said, hey, if you don't go to school, and I said, I'm gonna actually stop going to school to take this job, just see what happens. And she said, if you don't go to school, you can't live here. She meant it. Long story short, she ended up taking my car away. I ended up having to live at my friend's house. I slept on the floor. This was back before Uber was out. So like I said, I was the last pick in the class. And at that time, the way I I had no experience. So the only thing I could rely on was just working harder than anybody else. So based on the ride situation, me not having a car, I had to get into the office, I had to hitch rides with coworkers. It was just kind of a weird situation, but I was first one in, last one out, probably for the first 6 months. By the 3rd month, I was clocking 20, 30 grand a month. And my mom was a believer after that. So.
Yeah. What year was that?
This was back in 2006, 2007, I think right before the crash.
Damn. What were you selling as far as rates when you first started?
Pretty much what they're at now, 6.75, 7.5 in that range.
Yeah.
Subprime, kind of very similar to what it is now, honestly.
Awesome. So first thing I want to ask you, there's a lot of people on this call, and I've been training a lot of brokers that are younger, man. They're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It seems like right around, where you started at. I started kind of later in my career, in my later 20s. But what advice do you have for the younger brokers that are on the call listening? Because a lot of them, they always tell me like, Ace, you know, I don't really have that experience to build the relationships right away and mesh with people and talk to them. What advice would you have to the younger folks that are starting at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24? Because I tell them they got a competitive advantage. If you're starting off young, you got a big opportunity here to be a millionaire by the time you're 30, to make wise investments, to stack up your capital. Because if I started at 19 or 20, knowing what I know now, it'd be a completely different ballgame. So what advice do you got for the younger cats on?
Man, I got a ton of advice, but I'll try to sum it up. Because I often think about this and think about how I would have done things differently. But first off, you got to understand you're young. You don't got a whole, you know, maybe for most of you, you probably don't have a whole lot of personal obligations. Maybe, you know, a lot of you don't have kids at that age, but you're young, you're vibrant. You know, you don't really have a whole lot of, honestly, other than working, you really don't have a whole lot of responsibility. So my advice, honestly, if I could go back and I was 18 and I was starting off, I honestly would have done what I did when I started in terms of work ethic. You know, I was like always like I said, I was always the first one in, last one out, asking all the questions. I was hungry for knowledge. I was hungry to get better. The problem was I was young. I was young and I was stupid, and I spent my money on dumb things. You know, I had like an Escalade and I had two cars at one point. You know, I was just blowing my money at the club. So if I could talk to my younger self, I would have work the same in terms of the same work ethic. But if you guys really understand, like a lot of the people that I talk to that that are succeeding in life, especially later on in life, they all own multiple pieces of real estate. I bought my first house when I was 23. So what I would do is I would set a goal. You know, obviously you're young, you're flashy, you want to buy this, you want to buy that, but try to be frugal if you can. Set goals and try to just pick up one house every other 2 years. You know, work your ass off, pick up one house every other 2 years. And as far as just like client base and being new to the business, it is what it is. We're all new at some point. So all you have to do is just really dive into it head first. Just be real, be authentic. I think a lot of us try to sell our way through loans, but honestly, I think most of it just comes down to them knowing that you're a human being and you're looking out for their best interests. So just do that and just keep pushing and stay motivated and dream big, because the sky's the limit, you know?
100%. I always tell people, make your weakness your strength, you know? I had a younger person selling loans on the phone. They're struggling. Oh man, people know I'm young. They think I'm not serious. I said, why don't you use the fact that you're not young and tell people, like, do you have any advice for me? Any marriage advice? Do you have any financial advice? Seems like you're doing great, man. One of my goals, you know, in the next 10 years is to do A, B, and C. And the clients start feeding into that and they start talking to you like a mentee, right? And instead of the client ghosting you or hanging up on you, instead they feel bad and they feel like they're helping you out. And it almost turns into them doing business with you like a good deed, you know? Same exact way with someone that, you know, doesn't know how to speak proper English. They have a little bit of a, you know, accent. And they ask me like, you know, clients read my accent on the phone. What would you do with this? I would say, I'd use that to your benefit. I would ask them things like, you know, hey, Mr. Client, I know that I don't have the best accent right now. I've came to the States about 5 years ago, but one thing I am the best at is mortgage knowledge. And if there's one thing I could do for you today, I'm going to make sure you understand the process from start to finish, unlike my language. And he keeps going. And like throwing a joke about it and make it a strength. So I always tell people, whatever you think your weakness is, make it a strength. I want to, so going off of that, you got into the mortgage business. When did you become an independent broker?
2016, I became independent.
Got it. Was that at West Capital or somewhere else?
I was at a company called Secure One Capital.
Secure
where I started
One
before
Capital.
West Capital.
Got it. And you were a broker there for how long?
I was there for 2 years. 2 years.
2 years. So 2018. Then where did we go after that?
To West Cap.
To West Cap at 2018. Now at West Cap, correct me if I'm wrong, how many submissions did you have last month?
I believe 34. 34.
You had 34 submissions last month solo, okay?
Yep.
Now I'm training companies and the teams inside of these companies, you know, let's say they have 5, 6, 7 LOs. They're getting about 25 submissions with 4 or 5 LOs on their team. So what you're doing is you're putting up a whole average team in Michigan's production by yourself. How much of those closed?
I mean, a lot of those are still in process, but from the previous month, I actually so in the month of August, I submitted 34. I funded 20, I believe. So I submitted 34 for, I think it was about 210,000 in revenue, and I closed 20 for 85,000 in
Okay,
revenue in the same month.
got it. So you made 85,000 revenue in 1 month. You're pacing for almost 7 figures this month in what some would call the hardest market ever. Okay, so everyone listening to the call, when I bring a guy like this on this phone call, I'm not bringing him on for shits and giggles. This guy is doing it and he's doing it big. What kind of leads are you working right now?
All of the above, man. Ag leads for the most part. Um, some trigger leads every now and then. Pretty much for the most part, aggregate leads, internet leads,
Yeah, so you're pretty much mingling in a little bit of everything.
a little
Triggers,
bit of everything.
lending tree, free rate updates.
Yeah,
Anything else I'm missing?
honestly, that's pretty much it.
Got it.
Pretty much it,
And what is your marketing spend every single month on average?
I keep it steady at 10 grand a month.
10
That's
grand a
what,
month.
yeah.
But when you first started, was it at 10 grand a month or did you reduce it or increase it?
I've increased it. When I first started, it was easy. It was fish in a barrel. It was like what? It was the pandemic. Anybody could have closed a loan. So I think I was marketing about 5 grand a month. Every call was a close. It was mailed too, so it was a different ball game.
Got it. And for those of you listening that are not in the independent broker model, 1099 style, Al works under West Capital, but at West Capital, he buys his own leads, meaning he pays for his own marketing and he makes a percentage of the commission off of the deal. So it's not like he's working under someone that's buying the leads and he makes a certain amount of money based off their comp plan. He has his own comp plan based off the leads he buys. So it's a nice perspective to think about. Imagine you were paying 10,000 a month for leads. I think number one, that gives you the competitive advantage because it's your own money you're spending on the leads. It's almost like you can't wake up and say, I don't feel like trying today. It's like you spent this hard money on these leads. You better try. It's your money that you're burning if you don't want to try. And I think that's a mindset shift because I'm always telling people in the broker world, pretend you spent your own money on the lead if you're working for somebody that spends it for you. And it's hard to do that or stay like that. But do you ever have those days where you wake up and you're like, I'm not really in the mood to take these calls?
Yeah, of course I do. But at the end of the day, honestly, I think that's what separates the average from the above average. Honestly, because at the end of the day, you got to still work through things. You have to still do the work even when you don't feel like doing the work. Period. You have to embrace the suck. It's not always like rainbows and butterflies every day. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. But I think the ones that are able to kind of push through those bad days and push through it when they don't feel like it, those are the ones that actually rise to the top. So, I mean, of course, there's some days that I don't feel like it, but I mean that's few and far between. But I'm not going to say I'm perfect and I wake up every day like, man, I can't wait to get to work. It's up and down.
No, 100%. Is there anything you do when you're in those kind of slump days to wake you up or get you out of it? Any rituals you have?
The kind of the stuff that we used to do. It's like I feel like how you used to always tell me, everything connects. A lot of things that you told me, like they still resonate. But getting up early, drinking. I drink literally. I get up. I drink 33 ounces of water right when I wake up. It's just healthy for you. I do that. I take my athletic greens. I go to the gym. I come back. I take a cold shower, and I'm ready to work. Right. So that's kind of like my basic morning ritual. In order to be at the top of your game, you need to feel good, right? So you got to eat healthy, you got to work out, you got to move your body, all that matters, right? So I actually, whenever I kind of feel myself kind of getting unmotivated, I use that as a trigger to actually overcompensate and get back into the groove. For example, I might not feel good today, right? So I use that as a trigger to go to the gym, and then I might do a second workout. I might make another 50 calls. I might send another 50 emails. I use those times of like when I get into that mode of laziness, I use that as a trigger to actually go harder. I've kind of programmed myself to do that over the years, right? Most people give up and they quit. They feel a certain way and they give into those feelings. But, you know, you can't compromise with yourself at the end of the day because you got to answer to yourself at the end of the day.
Got it. So when you're going through any kind of adversities or negative thoughts, you tend to go twice as hard to make up for it.
Yeah, I lean into it. Yeah.
I love that. Those are your personal rituals, which I think are super important. We talk about it all the time. What do you do for yourself before you get into your work zone? What are your business rituals? I mean, it's one thing to come here and just take calls or make dials. It's another thing to prepare your day for success. How does Al Bennett come to his desk at his home and prepare his day and start shooting the missiles? How does it look like to start your work day? What kind of things are you putting in place to force the business? What kind of strategies are you implementing? Text, email, calls. What are we doing?
Yeah. So this is a good question. I had, honestly, throughout the week, you know, people call me and they ask me questions. So, you know, I'm going to kind of share with you guys what I share with them. But we have imagine we have like an arsenal, right? And our arsenal consists of email. Our arsenal consists of text messaging. Our arsenal consists of a dialer. Our arsenal consists of like Rebump, Agent Legend, all these tools, right, that we have at our disposal in order to get as much business as we possibly can. And what I tell people is it's extremely important to not skip, like everything connects, everything matters. Like you can't do one thing without doing the other. So for example, the reason that I feel as though I'm successful is because I do everything that needs to be done in terms of the play of the day, right? We came up with the play of the day, which you taught me. I send that out every day. Play of the day could be something simple as, hey, just following up to see if you're still looking to move forward with your loan. Follow it up with the email, follow it up with the text message, follow it up with the voicemail, whatever the case may be. I send those out every single day. I've become like, ever since our training, Alex, I've become like a master prospector. Like I think my prospecting skills have surpassed my sales skills. Like you will hear from me. These clients will know, like come hell or high water, they will hear from me, right? In some way, shape, or form. So all I really try to do is just stay on them. I apply pressure, every single day. And honestly, all I'm trying to get is either someone on the phone tell me no. That's all I care about. Because I know if they tell me no, great, I cannot follow up with you. If I get them on the phone, there's a high probability that I'm going to close them. So it's not only just utilizing everything in your arsenal, it's also, especially for the new bankers, especially for people that are struggling right now, it's utilizing everything in your arsenal, but being hyper consistent. Like if you're like for example, if someone wants to come work at Westcap and they say, man, I heard Westcap's a great company. Like you get time freedom. You can work when you want. Like they've already lost. Their mindset is their mindset is stuck on like the freedom. Their mindset is stuck on like basically being able to slack off, right? Like you have to work even harder here at Westcap for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months before you even hit any sort of stride. Like the August month that I had wasn't from what I did in August. It was from what I did in January, February, March, September, and so on and so forth. People see me going on vacations. They see me traveling. They see me doing that. And they think like, man, it's easy for him. But I said this, I said, you know, I like Westcap because it gives you the opportunity to earn your freedom. Like I earned that freedom. And I can look myself at the mirror at the end of the day and know like I've been giving it my all, and everything that I'm getting, I actually deserve. You know, I feel good about it. So I mean, to answer your question, I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but to answer your question, it's just a matter of like making sure that I just follow up. It's real simple, man. Everybody kind of has their own system. I use Excel, kind of old school, but I just literally follow up with everybody day in and day out. Master prospector.
Yeah, man, you said a lot of great things, and I'm happy to hear that a lot of the things we talked about, you're staying consistent with and you're living with them, because anybody could execute one time. Well, it's hard to execute, but if you do execute, you could execute one time, 2 times. Who could stay consistent the longest? That's what the real game is, right? It's about planting seeds, But when you plant seeds, you don't wake up in a forest in one day. It takes time. What you're saying is all the work you've done all year long created an $84,000 month last month. Not you woke up and tried. You probably had purchases coming through. You had follow-ups. You had bankruptcies. You had foreclosures, which everybody on the call could have if we had a process that we were consistent with. You know, like I always tell people, back in the day, I couldn't write mobile and manufactured homes. I used to get all of them. I used to deny them out. And then one day, the lender I was with announced, we are now doing manufactured and mobile homes. And I broke my keyboard in half. I said, you dumb motherfucker. If you would have put them in an Excel sheet for the last couple of years, you would have had $1 million month. All those mobile manufactured folks are nice. None of them were going to shop me. The most lovely people. So we talk about those processes. So I'm guessing that every single person you talk to, you're putting them in a tracker. You're putting them in your calendar. You're staying in touch with them. You're not giving up until they tell you no or fuck off. If they don't tell you that, you're staying in touch with them until they do business with you. Is that right?
All the time, all the time. Like if I talked to somebody and they had a mortgage late in December of 2022, best believe I'm calling them in January 2023 or 2023 and telling them, hey, no mortgage late for 12 months. Let's roll. You know, happens all the time.
Beautiful. And you just simply put them in your calendar.
Yep.
You also said that you're applying pressure on all fronts. I get this question sometimes. I want to know how you answer it. When do you think you're applying too much pressure and you need to back off? How do you differentiate between putting too much pressure on somebody and not putting enough pressure on somebody?
That's a good question. So I think that comes with a little seasoning. I think over time, once you've been in the business a little bit, you can kind of feel somebody out in terms of kind of like how they're responding. You can kind of, it's a dance, like that's what we do. It's a dance, right? So you fill out kind of like the type of person they are. And I can kind of, some people are like, I looked you up on the Better Business Bureau. I want to so you kind of want to back off on those people a little bit, right? They tell you things where it gives you little clues on how to handle them. But to me, that's kind of like a finesse type question. I think it's a matter of like being in the business long enough to kind of know client by client which ones to apply pressure to and which ones not to apply pressure to. Like I had a call today and I was just telling the guy, hey, like you have a 10%. How much longer do you want to pay 10%? I can give you a 6%. Like, how much longer do you want to play in the double digits? Are you ready to move forward now? Like, more like very straightforward, kind of like we got to do this. You're not, it's making no sense to, in terms of where you're at. So just kind of filling out the client.
Got it. And I got a question here from the group, and I think it's fitting here. They're asking, what does Al Bennett's introduction sound like?
So usually it's, hey, what's going on? This is Al Bennett giving you a call. I see you, filled out a lending tree application. I wanted to call you to see what we can do to help you out. What was it that you were looking or hoping to get accomplished? I'd say that.
Got it. And do you deal with a lot of objections up front? If so, how do you deal with them?
A lot of objections up front. Up front, not really, because I just ask, what are you looking to accomplish? And I shut up. And then I let them tell me, this is what I'm looking to do. And then from there, usually most of the people that I speak to now, there's some sort of problem, right? So I just listen to what they say, and then I give them a solution to their problem. I tell them, hey, I got to review your credit. Obviously, everybody should be running soft pulls to kind of get an idea, so, in terms of what we got going on, because people will tell you anything, but the full story once you get the credit report. So I review the credit, and I can find the pain points, and I just keep it real. Like I had a conversation with Ashley this morning. We were kind of talking about top producers and production and this and that, and I don't know. I just kind of think like I think about it too. Like how am I producing? Like how did I sub 34 loans last month? And I think a lot of it honestly has to just do with, I know it sounds kind of like cliche, but like I'm just super grateful to be in the position that I'm in. Like I came from a position where things weren't always sweet, like things weren't always beautiful. And I'm just really thankful to be where I am. And I genuinely just try to help people out. Like I genuinely and I think people know. I don't think I think the whole old school sell. I don't think that's it anymore. I think people just want somebody that they can trust, that's honest with them, that can just have we're sitting out here drinking beer type conversation, and kind of put people in the right position and do it treat people how you want to be treated and act like it's your mortgage and really genuinely help them out. you know?
100%, man. Especially right now in the time we're in. I mean, service has been horrible everywhere I'm going. Like, they respect and appreciate just a good experience with somebody on the phone. That's why I say, like, sending a picture of your family and like getting the emotional benefits and sending an email and showing them the farm their kids always wanted to go to or the vacation they always wanted to take. You remember the stories and the phone calls we used to play, and we used to show even that YouTube video I made with you, going deep on your passion and showing how we could use that passion to originate a mortgage if it came down to it. You wanted to go to uh National Geographics or something. That was like your passion. You wanted to go down and see like a place with a lot of different animals in the safari in the jungle. Didn't you want to travel around and do something like that, take photos and things? Like, I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember the story, because that was important to me at the time when I was talking to you. And if we could get like a story like that from every single client we talk to, it's going to be a hell of an experience for them, right?
It's all about that. Like, you wouldn't believe, Alex, how much business I get literally from Agent Legend without even talking to people. People literally hit me up like, the reason that I'm going to go with you, before I even quote them a deal, you send me a picture of your family. Like, I literally have like a bunch of pictures of my family. I email them a picture. I text them a different picture. Like, I have different pictures. Like, and they can almost, it's almost like they know me and my family. I send a picture of us at Disneyland and they're like, man, you just look like a wholesome guy. And, like, let me know what you got, right? And then they hear, and you're right, like, customer service nowadays is so shitty. Like, it's so shitty. If you just give good service, right? And when I talk about good service, I'm talking like speed to response. Like, if somebody texts you, boom, respond. And if anything, call. Like, people respect that. Like, sometimes I'm at dinner with my family and I'm like, hey, I'm at dinner with my family. I'm sorry, but I'll call you right after, right? People respect that. So it's just like those little, like you said, little competitive edges that you can get. You gotta, especially right now, you have to gain every single competitive edge. If a client texts you and you don't respond for an hour, but they text another person, they respond within 5 minutes, they're gonna go with that other person. You lost a sale right there just based on response time.
100%. There's so many times clients will tell me like, thank you so much for answering. We know we're annoying you and stuff. And like, I always feel bad. And I say, no, call me anytime. And then they continue to call during process and I continue to answer because I just want to be there for them. Cause I'm like, this client really appreciates it. And it makes me feel good. For those of you listening that don't know what Agent Legend is, it's kind of like a text software where brokers could text off of. And Al uses that a lot. What percentage of your business would you say comes from text message? Because believe it or not, Al, there's people on this call today that will get hung up on. They won't catch somebody on a phone call and they're not texting them. So that's a whole nother elephant to chew. But how much business are you getting from texting right now?
I mean, I'd say over half. Over half.
So half of
Honestly, over like I'd say 70%. It's
so
very rare that you call someone. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, do everything, but texting is, I think that's the way people communicate now.
yeah, you're not saying you write the whole deal through a text, but you're saying it originates through a text message, right?
Yes, correct.
70% of the time, text messages helping you get the communication going.
Correct.
Yeah. And if they don't answer your calls, like initially before you talk to the client, you're getting them through text before you actually speak to them, right?
Yes, usually.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
What's the percentage? You make 10 fresh calls. Out of the 10 calls that answer, how many of them started with text compared to started with the phone?
I would say 70-30. So like, I would say 70 started with text, 30 started, 30, 7 started with text, 3 started with phone call.
Got it. And we got a lot of questions here. I see a common one about the text messages you're sending. They're asking, what kind of messages are you sending out? What are your most popular plays of the day?
It's mostly like, I'm trying to think what garners. Honestly, sometimes when I just say kind of like what you taught me, man, like, sometimes I'll just say like 3.75 question mark, literally, like, just that's it, right? And they'll respond like, I'm not saying always do that, but kind of like just random things. Sometimes I'll throw in some emojis. Usually I'll say something like, I'll send them a text. They don't respond. The next text would be, did you get my last text? With like a think face, just like, I don't know, man. I just think it's sometimes, now I get it matters what you say, but I just think like applying the pressure and just consistently saying anything is is going to put you leaps and bounds in front of most people, because I think most people give up. And I don't. Like, I'm still following up with people from my February leads. Like, I never give up. Like, I'll literally never, like, I literally am calling people still from February. Until they say, hey, stop calling me. So people ask me, like, how do you have so much leads to send correspondence to? It's because, like, I'm still hitting up leads from February. You know, everybody can get it. Like, anyone can get it. You know, anyone's going to get hit up by me. And, you know, like, I'm not hitting people up on some, like, sleazy car salesman stuff. I'm hitting them up on, like, hey, I'm here to really help you out. Like, let's get this going. Like, I know there's an issue. Let me help solve your problem.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing here is there's two things. Number one, there's skill. Okay. Number two, there's relentless follow-up and consistency. It's great if you have both, but you got to at least have one, is what I'm hearing. Either you have high-ass skill when you're on the phone and you're going deep with somebody, making them love you, getting to know them, building a relationship. Or if you don't have that, let's say you don't have great skill, you're a follow-up machine, meaning you're texting, you're calling, you're leaving voicemails twice a day, 3 times a day. You're remembering the bankruptcies, the foreclosures, putting them in your calendar. You're on top of your calendar and your follow-up. If you have both, which Al has both, and you're working hard and pushing both at the same time, you're going to hit big numbers. If you don't have both, you got to at least have one. And if you don't have either, you're probably struggling right now because you're not focused on skill during the call and you're not being relentless in your follow-up. Like, you got to call somebody, not like to annoy them or pressure them, but call them with a benefit. Like, I might tell Al when we get off the line, look, Al, I know you're a busy guy. I've been trying to reach you for 3 days. I'm going to keep calling you, man, 2-3 times a day. This deal makes sense. Monica's going to love it. You got to pick up. We got to get this locked in. Trust me, the more we wait, the more we lose. Something like that, where I ended off like a friend, like, hey, I'm going to blow you up till you answer. This deal makes sense. You better answer. Like, creating the relationship where the follow-up is kind of expected. Or like, hey, you know, I know I didn't get your commitment today. I didn't get those docs. I'm going to be calling you a lot till I get them. You know, I'm very passionate about what I do, but most importantly, I want to make sure that I don't fail for you and process, because the worst thing that's ever happened to me, Alan, it's only happened one time, is the rate lock got expired in process because we took too long to close it. Client had something change with their income. I couldn't get them qualified anymore. Long story short, I ruined a client's life one time in mortgages a long time ago, and I'll never do it again. That's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate and aggressive when I'm calling you and texting you and emailing you. I'm on a timer, and I got to get moving for you. So like all these things that I'm dropping in the phone call, they actually allow me to follow up aggressively because I'm planting seeds for that. And to take it a step further with your person that you said December 2023, they had a late, or December 2022, they had a late. You're going to call them January 2024 after a full year or whatever it is. Even before January 2024, I would go as far as June 1st. Hey, Al, it's Alex checking up on you with WestCab. Just want to let you know you're still in my calendar. If you found a cosigner or put anybody else on title, let me know. If you got any friends or family, let me know. You're in my calendar for January 1st. Hopefully everything's going good with your family. Speak to you soon. September, hey, Al, 3 months ago. Like, I'd almost put timers for my long-term follow-ups to stay tapping them. There's a broker inside the academy who does about 20 purchases a month. His secret, he stays in touch with the purchase, the pals that he puts out there, right? Where they're shopping for their house, he stays in touch with them. They're getting calls from everybody else. They're getting offered better deals, but only him on Sunday is going on Zillow and Realtor, finding them a house in their neighborhood that they're looking for, finding them the specs that they want, and sending them an email. Now, half the time, they have a good realtor, and the realtor sent them the email. The other half of the time, they're like, oh, my God, Mike, my realtor didn't even show me this house. It's beautiful. Thanks for sending it over. Like, it takes him 10 minutes while he's eating his Fruit Loops, looking at houses for random clients every Sunday. He does it as a ritual, 5-10 clients. Now he's acting as their realtor, helping them find a house, checking up on them. And like, he stays in touch with them the whole process. So he might not have the biggest 2023, but guess what happens in 2024, Al? He's writing a bunch of purchases that nobody else is. How'd you do it? He did it in 2023, motherfuckers. He didn't do it next year. He's doing it this year.
Yeah.
He's putting in the work where nobody is. It's all those small things added up. I'm getting a lot of questions here. Let me try to get a couple of them knocked out real quickly for you here. One of them's from what's your daily schedule look like? When do you make calls? When do you submit loans? When do you handle your pipeline? When do you respond to emails? And you still run a team at the same time.
Yeah, that's actually a funny question. I did a 45-minute walk after my workout. I was talking to my assistant. We were talking about that, and um, I usually try to. I don't like. I operate through. I like my email inbox to be clean. So usually I try to respond to all emails, so there's no emails in my inbox. That's like the first thing, because that now allows me to prospect. Right. Once I get my email cleaned up, I can prospect, and when new emails come in, I can respond. But honestly, we have a very our style is very wild, wild west. Like there's no and everybody kind of has their own style. Like some people time block. That's never worked for me. I come in, I answer all my emails, and then it's immediately go time, and I start just like following up with people. I hit my agent legend. As soon as I hit my agent legend, I'm getting responses there, and I'm just really trying to get people on the phone, and I'm putting out fires as they come. And I get someone on the phone, and like my whole entire thought process is get someone live on the phone and pull their credit. If I can get someone live on the phone and it's all reverse engineering what we've always been taught. If you can get someone live on the phone and pull their credit, the likelihood of you getting a submission is over time is going to increase. So it's all about what I need to do to get people on the phone. That's it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of brokers on this call, and some of them still have like credit report expense. So some of the broker owners would say like, wait till we actually get the application to pull credit, or after we get the deal. What I would tell those folks is, look, go to your leader or go to your owner and say, look, could I try 30 days pulling soft credit reports early in the call? And I guarantee you, like if I didn't pull credit in the first 3, 4, 5 minutes of a phone call, I would lose half the deals, because like Al said, nobody knows what they want. Nobody knows what they have. Everybody thinks they're good. But when I see your credit report, I'm coming in like a doctor. I got your x-ray in front of me.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. Like you can't run from your credit report. It's like, Al, man, I'm so glad I'm back here. I just checked out your credit report. Look, I know you're looking at HELOCs. You're trying to wait on this. You might sell the house. You might not. At the end of the day, here's what I see, man. We got a 628 credit score. A lot of debts are maxed out. I'm not saying this in a rude or disrespectful way. There's only one way from here, and that's going downhill as far as your credit's concerned. Things are getting stricter in the industry. Here's what I'll tell you. You can still sell the house in the future, okay? You can still wait on the rates, because I'm sure they're going to go down sometime, and I'll help you when that happens as well. But right now, here's the most important thing we need to do. We need to get rid of these debts. We need to get you the cash. We need to increase your credit, and we got to get you saving some money. And look, I don't want an answer right now from you, but give me about 5-10 more minutes here. Let me figure out exactly what's going on in your life. Let me customize a solution, and we'll look at it together. Pivot. So anyways, where do you work right now? Like, I don't even want to argue with you right now. I'm just telling you, I see your credit. Here's what I see, but I'm not going there right now. I'm just dropping a seed, letting you know, this is what I see. This is what I'm thinking. Don't give me an answer right now. What do you do for a living? I'm going to move out, and I'll come back to that later on, because I want to learn more about you. I want to know, when's the last time you got a raise? Are you investing in your 401k? How much do you have in assets? How much kids do you have? When's the last vacation you took? Look, when the rates were 2.99, like 3.5, like at some point there were some companies I gave up on. I said, you know what, man, just keep playing the game. You're going to dial, 300 calls. You're going to write 2 of them because rates are low. Keep doing that. Fuck everything else. I'm done with you guys. Just keep doing that. But like in this market, when I still see people doing that, like I feel like they don't really know the game, because they're playing the game backwards. If you really know what the game is right now, nobody wants to refinance. Nobody wants to buy things, because it's a crazy place that we're in. The game right now is going deep enough with somebody to keep them in communication with you, and to show them and tailor a solution that makes sense for them and their family, and to show them it at the end, not in the beginning. I never sell anybody in the beginning of a call. I never sell anybody in the middle of the call. I wait for the grand finale at the end. When I have all my information, that's when I want to stand in front of the jury. I don't want to stand right away. I want to hear what's going on. So like, I feel like some people are not in the mindset where they're listening carefully, asking active questions, going very deep for somebody to make them realize, I know this is not what you want to do, but this is what we have to do. And here's the reason why. And when I tell you that, Al, I feel like I'm talking to my brother. I'm saving you. Like, I'm not telling you it in a sleazy way. So your schedule. Yeah, what's that?
Empathy. Like, it's almost like you got to have a lot of empathy nowadays, honestly, in this business. Empathy and compassion. A lot of people are hurting, man. You got to save them.
Yeah, it's a tough market we're in, man. It's not a joke. People read that, you know, they read the fakeness and they read the realness. So
Yeah.
so daily schedule, you're responding to your emails, you're sending out texts, you're following up, and you're dialing till you get somebody on the phone. You're trying to get the credit, and you're trying to close deals. Nothing special,
Yeah.
nothing.
It's never been anything special. It's just do that. It's just it's doing all that activity every single day, and then what you'll find yourself so busy that like people are probably ask you, Alex, like, how are you so busy? Like, it's because all the activity that you've done up to this point leads you. Like right now, I guarantee you, I probably have 2-3 messages from borrowers. Like, probably got like 20 emails since we've been on this call. Like, I'm constantly, like, I'm always busy. Like, I'm overwhelmed all the time, and that's just because I put the work in, like I put the work in to get to that level of being overwhelmed.
Yeah. So you're riding a bike for many years. Now the bike is electric and it just won't stop.
I mean, that's what it feels like. Like, I don't like, to be honest, like subbing 34 loans is pretty crazy. Like my when I first started at WestCap, when the market was hot, when everybody could make money, my first month I subbed 38 loans, but that's when rates were like 2.5%. So to hit 34 was pretty, like, that was cool, and it just felt like, all right, like, it just makes you feel bulletproof, and it makes me feel like there's, it's possible, right? Like, a lot of people, I feel like some people are just standing on the sidelines right now, just waiting for the market to come back. And I don't know, man, I just kind of feel like that's the wrong mindset to have. Like, you got to understand, like, I'm building equity. All these deals that I'm getting, I'm building equity. I'm going to retread these deals when rates drop, and you got to look at it as such.
Yeah. I got another question in here. It's one that says, if you don't have a family picture to send, what do you send? I would just say solo professional picture. It's not only about the family picture. Any picture would work, just putting a face behind the voice. I also have a question here saying, do you let Agent Legend send out your text automatically for you? Or do you send out custom text on top of Agent Legend? That was the first question. Second question they had was, do you wait for the customer to call you, or do you call them right away as soon as they answer the text?
Okay, so good questions. First off, the person that says something about what picture, I'd probably, if you have a dog or cat, put your dog and cat in the picture. That's fine, something like that, or keep it professional, whatever you want to do. Just humanize yourself. And to answer that other question, so if anyone ever texts me, I automatically call them. Like, if I know they're like looking at their phone and they send me a text, they can send anything. I automatically call them, because that's where my strength's at. Like, if I get them on the phone, it's a wrap. But let's see here. I know, what's the question? Multiple time.
It was, are you answering when they text you back? Are you calling them right away, or are you letting them?
Yes. All the time. Get them on the phone. It's all about the phone. Like, it's all about the phone. Get them on the phone, and like, I use text to get them on the phone. If that makes sense. So, once you get them on the phone, then you could, apply the proper pressure and basically run the credit and see where it's at and close the deal. It's all about prospecting now. You got to be a master hunter. You got to be a master prospector.
Yeah. And how long are you usually putting in hours a day?
I would say, I mean, I usually start probably like at 8 o'clock. I probably end, I mean, right now. So this is just me right now, but maybe like 4 or 5. Not a crazy amount. I don't know. Sometimes it's one of those things where, like, I'm kind of like in this matrix type of groove where it's working. So I'm gonna keep doing it, like sometimes, like, when I go in a slump, then I'll put in more hours. So that's actually something that I can maybe answer for some of you. Like, some of my bankers ask, hey, I'm struggling right now. What can I do? My automatic response is wake up earlier, start earlier, finish later, right? If you're struggling. But sometimes you hit these pockets, and I'm in that pocket right now where everything's working. So I'm just kind of doing everything the same. Sometimes I could be superstitious, so I kind of keep doing things the same until things change.
Awesome. Was there ever a month that you had? Well, I know there probably was, but when you had a horrible month or everything wasn't going right for you, how did you get out of that, and what do you change?
You have to so actually, yeah, I'll talk about it. January and February of this year, shit wasn't clicking. Like I wasn't able to close loans. Shit just wasn't working. I was going into debt, marketing and not closing loans. I was having like a lot of fallout, right? The same stuff that happens to all of us, right? That was happening to me. Um, and I embraced it. I embraced the suck. I embraced that shit wasn't good. I said, shit, it's not good, but I'm doing everything right. Shit's eventually going to turn. Um, I really didn't change a whole lot. I try to be a little bit more concise in terms of making sure that, the income was calculated correctly if they're self-employed, little things like that. But like I said, it's about what separates the people that make it in this business and the great ones and the below average ones or the average ones are the ones that are great in this business. They maintain even when shit's not going right. They maintain their attitude. They maintain their positivity. They maintain their work ethic. Like they don't go, oh shit sucks right now, so I'm gonna let my foot off the gas. If anything, they go harder when shit sucks. Like because they know like I'm not this bad. I'm better than this, right? So when things were bad for me back in January and February, I naturally worked harder because things were so bad, right? So it's just working through it and getting through it and like getting through to the other side and not giving up. Most people give up. Most people are like, man, I haven't closed a loan in 2 weeks. I'm going in the whole marketing, this and that and this and that. And I'm like, dude, like your mentality, like if you're for the independent brokers on this call, your mentality has to be to go for broke. Like this is a business. Businesses like a restaurant, they're not always profitable every month. Some months you lose money, right? So you got to understand, when a restaurant loses money, they don't just shut down the restaurant and stop serving food. You got to keep working through it, and you got to push through it and embrace things and embrace. I call it embrace the stuff. Just deal with it.
Amazing. They say that, character is not defined when things are going great in your life. Character is defined when your back's up against the wall. And that's what you
Facts.
say. I remember when you had those tough months, you hopped on a weekly call and you're like, fuck, let me
Yep.
just switch up the environment. Let me come on the calls. You're still doing this, And like you call me here and there, like when you need it, like you try to surround yourself in those positive atmospheres, which is very important. That's important for everybody. When I'm in a slump, what do? I go to my phone book and I search like a hunter. Who do I need to talk to right now that's going to, slap me silly and get me out of this thing? And that's important to have those people. And some of us are surrounded by people that do the opposite. They're going to pull you down deeper into your slump, say, yeah, come with me, come down here, And that's just going to get you in a deeper hole and not going to let you get out. So I think all that stuff's important, that when you do have down months, when things are going tough in your life, could you keep your focus the same? I always say, like, anybody could sound good on their first call. Who could sound the same at 8 in the morning and 8 at night? That's the real test, What are any referrals for Al? You getting referrals? Are you good at referrals?
Absolutely. If you, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but if you do as much business as I do, you're going to get referrals. It's just like a byproduct of, like I said, you're building equity. Do a good job, give excellent, like 5-star customer service, treat people like you want to be treated. Even if you don't ask for referrals, you're going to get referrals if you do your job the correct way. Ask for referrals, but if you do your job the correct way, you're going to get referrals by default.
Yeah, I always say just make it a habit, and instead of asking for it, force it at the end of the call.
Yeah.
What are the goals for you? I mean, you're grinding, you're traveling. I think it's important that you travel because you're always putting a reward at the end of the tunnel. So you're always looking forward to something. And I feel like when you're always looking forward to something, you naturally work harder. Is that what you say would motivate you? All the traveling and accomplishing things off your bucket list and continuing to do that while working hard keeps you working hard before you go and gets you working hard when you come back?
Man, the older I get, the more it's less about me and more about my family. Honestly, man, like the goal for me at the end of my life, like I think about this all the time. All I want to do is like, it's this simple. I got two boys right now. All I really care about is obviously being the best dad that I can be, but I just want to leave each of them with 3 free and clear homes. Like, Braylon, here you go. You got 3 houses. Jameson, here you go. You got 3 houses. That's ultimately what I want to do ultimately, right? But there's little things that motivate me throughout the course of throughout the course of what I got going on. Like, for example, you know, like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but that's my pool back there. Um, I I feel so grateful to be able to spend, you know, like it was like $1,200 to put my kid in swim lessons, right? Like the fact that he swims in this pool, I work like a couple feet away. Like it almost like it almost brings tears to my eyes. Like I can pay for him to have swim lessons, and I'm able to take my family everywhere. Like just little things like that, to where I'm out here providing. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here doing it. I'm out here being a provider and a protector for my family, and I'm doing the best that I can to give them the best life that I possibly can. Um, you know, I try to, you know, aside from work, I try to be present as I can. And this job allows you to be present a lot if you do it right. But I just think like the opportunity here is endless, man. Like I don't know where you can go and make like, I mean, I made almost close to like $1.5 million my first year at West Cap. Like I don't know where you can go and make that type of money. I'm gonna probably clear over like 700, 800,000 this year in a bad market. I don't know where you can go and make that type of money. Eventually it just stops becoming about the money. It just starts becoming about like how you can use that money to spend time with your family and just do things with your family.
100%, man. It's all about levels, and it seems like you're hitting those higher levels, man. You're thinking at a higher level, and I respect it and I appreciate it. And I feel the same way as you. You're talking about purpose. You know, if purpose really drives you, then you shouldn't be, you know, half-assing your job or half-assing your career. If purpose really drives you, you shouldn't not be following up. You shouldn't not be trying hard in every call. You shouldn't not be taking care of yourself, because your goal is something you want to attain. Your purpose is the reason you want to attain that goal. So what is the purpose behind your goals? You know, and sometimes we forget about that. We get into like the same old groove, and it's just like, oh, wake up, take calls, work, eat dinner, this, smoke, sleep. Like we get into these routines and we forget the energy and the fire we had in our most creative moments in our life and our most infused moments in our life. We forget that version of ourselves, and we fall into this complacent, you know, version of ourselves. And I think what you're saying is like your purpose is all around you, in front of you. You don't forget it. It's what you live for. It's what you fight for. And you're always fighting for that next level.
Yeah. And it's fun. Like this shit is fun. Like mortgages, like honestly, I like talking to people and closing deals. It's like a fun thing. We hang out, you know, we have fun. You know, like West Cap, you know, I know there's some West Cap people on here, but we have a good time together. And, you know, it's all about, it's like a brotherhood and sisterhood, you know, it's like a family atmosphere. So, you know,
100%.
I went out there and I broke bread with you in your home. You know, it is what it is, man. It's like, you know, it's West Cap has touched me in a lot of positive ways since I've been here, and I'm grateful for it.
100%. We're grateful for you, man. You're a good dude. And every single person that knows you, they have nothing but good things to say about you. I haven't heard a negative thing about you yet, man. So you're a great dude. You're a great father. You're a great man. We appreciate you. I'm getting a lot of questions on here, and they're asking for softwares, templates for emails and text. What dialer do you use? Things like this. Do you mind if we give them your Instagram? They can shoot you a message.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So whoever's on this call that has any questions about, you know, software, technology, anything else, you know, regarding this phone call, go to my Instagram at Acez Academy, Ali Sharafuddin. Check my story, and I have Al tagged in my story. What's your username? It's
I got two of them, but
Al
they can
underscore, yeah, Al underscore
yeah, that was
Bennett
fun.
underscore. So Al underscore Bennett underscore. If you go there, hit him up on the DMs. He's not going to ignore you. He got your back. We do want to thank you for being on the call. Thank you to all the people that are on the call listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And the things you're saying are the things I've been preaching, and they're the things that work. So I appreciate you bringing that truthful fire to the call today, my brother.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right. Thank
Anytime.
you. I know your business is steaming right now. Get back to work, brother.
For sure. All right, man.
Thanks.